Hey, I'm Jay Kumar, the Bass Blaster, and this is your Seafoam and Kistler top 5 of the week in bass fishing. Number 1.
He did it again, damn it.
That's probably how the other MLF Bass Pro Tour guys said it, but either way, we're talking about Jacob Wheeler. Jacob just got his 9th Bass Pro Tour win in 7 years, which is
astonishing.
Yes, it is, Mr. Data, and get this. He also has 3 Bass Pro Tour Angler of the Year wins and right now is number 1 in the points again. And this win on Kentucky Lake now makes 4 career wins for him on Tennessee River reservoirs, and he has top 10s on all the rest from all the way up down to Kentucky Lake.
Magnificent.
Whoa. That guy is like if a Ned rig was a person.
Bruh.
Okay, now back to Jacob, also known as
Thanos?
Well, Thanos, or Jacob, lost the previous Bass Pro Tour event on Chickamauga and Nickajack to fellow Tennessee River hammer Jake Lawrence. And he lost by 1 fish literally in the last few seconds. Obviously, that's not going to sit well with Jacob or Thanos, and he made sure that didn't happen at Kentucky Lake. It did come down to Jacob and Jake again, but Jacob won it by 30 pounds. He went up to Jake afterward and was like, okay, I'm just messing, but know that Bass Pros are super nice on land, but on the water, it's a different deal. All right, can we just underline this about Jacob? 9 Bass Pro Tour wins, 3 Angler of the Year titles, and none of the other ones were below 4th, and a win or top 10 on every Tennessee River lake. And that's not even scratching the surface of this guy. Okay, how did he get it done this time? Let's talk about it. Number 2. Now, since the Bass Pro Tour guys can only use forward-facing sonar 1 of 3 periods per day, that means your regular old bass fishing techniques are gonna play. And for sure they did at the Bass Pro Tour event on Kentucky Lake.
Hey man, it's a dang good old deal.
Dang straight it is, and it was an even better dang old good old deal at Kentucky Lake because your tried and true ledge fishing techniques not only worked, I believe they caught more fish than were caught in the scope period, which is unusual. And
Outstanding.
let's start with Jacob Wheeler, who got his 9th Bass Pro Tour victory at Kentucky Lake. For that, I gotta give you this clip again. Because that 9 number, along with 3 Angler of the Year wins in 4 years, is legit insane in the membrane. Anyhow, Jacob won this deal with some of your typical ledge baits, along with a Rapala Crush City Mooch Minnow that he designed in the existing 4.25 size and the upcoming, not released yet, 5.25 size. But most of his fish were caught with traditional ledge or bottom baits. A Rapala DT16 and citrus shad and big shad were the deal the first couple days. And after he caught the more aggressive fish, he Nico rigged the Crush City janitor worm for more bites. His other deal, which was his main technique the final day, was a 3/4 ounce jewel football jig with another Crush City bait on it, a cleanup crawl. He trimmed everything up tight and was snapping it off the bottom. He wasn't stroking it like way up because the fish were tighter to the bottom. Another key to Jacob's win was this deal. Fortunately, don't have the time to get into that right here, but all the details are on BassBlaster.com. The rest of the top 10 all fish ledge baits too. Jigs, Carolina rigs, some with the bean weights that are becoming popular now, crankbaits, hair jigs, drop shots, and swim baits. The guys were like,
And I'm on the bottom.
sometimes you gotta be on the bottom to get to the top, man. Number 3. Is Kentucky Lake back? It's a really good and important question because at one time and for a long time, Kentucky Lake was known as one of the best bass lakes in the country. As a ledge deal, a perennial multi-major tournament stop, and loaded with tons of bass. It was also a huge testing ground for new baits, especially those from Strike King. But then in 1999, a Mississippi River flood enabled Asian carp that were used in aquaculture to escape their pens or ponds or whatever they were and infiltrate our waterways and breed like rabbits. And by the way, I don't think the aquaculture industry to this day has contributed any real money for getting rid of these things. Now, I mention that because we do contribute that money. And that's because the DNRs, which are funded mostly or almost entirely by us fishermen and hunters, are the ones who got to do something about it. Anyhow, as of 2020, here's what the Asian carp invasion looked like. The problem has been so bad that multi-millions of dollars have poured into measures to try and stop these carp, and over $1 billion is committed to just one potential carp entry point into the Great Lakes. Well, one of the places that got hit really hard by those Asian carp was Kentucky Lake. The carp population got in there and boomed really fast, and the bass fishing went zoom along with the bass population. It was definitely bad, at least compared to how it was or how everybody expected it to be. Then it went nationwide that Kentucky Lake was dead or dying or whatever, and a lot of local businesses suffered. But the MLF Bass Pro Tour just a couple weekends back showed everybody that Kentucky Lake is back. Largemouth and smallmouth are back.
That's rad.
Yes, it is. Now, no huge ones were weighed, nothing over 6 pounds, but that just shows the fishery is young overall and coming back. Now, it's an established fact that when big tournaments show out at a lake, us regular old fishermen travel there. Now, that's obviously one big reason that tourism departments sponsor big tournaments. So now that we know Kentucky Lake is fishing well and is on the upswing,
let's get it on.
Good to see it, man. I hope a bunch of folks go there, catch a bunch of fish, and support the local businesses.
I'm back, baby!
Number 4.
The water level is rising.
Man, in the movies, that always causes stress. But in bass fishing?
Nah.
Especially if your name is Wes Logan. Wes just won the Bassmaster Elite Series tournament on Lake Tenkiller, Oklahoma, and that was his second Elite Series win. He won pitching a jig into rising water, the exact same deal as when he won in 2021 at Lake Neely Henry in Alabama. We've all seen many times that when conditions line up with a guy's strength, it's on.
It's on like,
What's it on like?
All right, Wes said he had a two-part approach. First was fishing a shad-oriented bite in marinas in the morning with a Z-Man jackhammer and a Zoom shimmer shad. Then he went to doing what he does best, fishing a jig. He flipped an Arc Randall Tharp flipping jig with a Zoom super chunk around flooded cover in a few key areas on a main lake shoreline. He said he wasn't really sure about why those short stretches kept reloading, but he thought maybe it was because of
Aliens?
right? Okay, he didn't say that, but it could be. I mean, who knows? Either way, forward-facing sonar did not play for him, and it was all about
Getting jiggy with it.
yes, he did. Number 5. Got to have power. In the last 2 big tournaments anyway, the MLF Bass Pro Tour on Kentucky Lake and the Bassmaster Elite on Lake Tenkiller, Oklahoma. At Kentucky Lake, it was deep power with crankbaits, jigs, Carolina rigs, and swim baits. Yep, drop shots too and some minnows, but power won it. At Tenkiller, I believe only one guy in the top 10 used a spinning rod, and yep, it had a minnow on it, but the rest was all power. Mostly flipping plastics and jigs and fishing bladed jigs in the morning. So it sure looks like being good with power techniques still matters, especially on the Bass Pro Tour when you can only use forward-facing sonar for a third of a day. On the Bassmaster Elites, the last 2 tournaments at Tenkiller and before that the Sabine River in Texas are the only 2 out of 7 tournaments so far this year where forward-facing sonar did not play in a win or top 10 finishes in a big way. So my question for you is, if your goal was either less forward-facing sonar dominance or having more bass fishing techniques come into play, would it maybe make sense to have fewer spring tournaments and more summer ones? Because
What do all men with power want? More power.
yeah, we do, man. After all, those Journey dudes said,
Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it.
heck yeah, man. That's all I got for you this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Seafoam and Kistler. See you next week. God bless you.